Packers are really bad, but Jordan Love is still going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I'm going to tell you why. Michigan are the dirty, dirty dogs I have always known them to be. And who are the greatest players not in the NFL Hall of Fame? That and more coming up on Sports Talk with Dad right now. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the human blooper reel sitting next to me, my dad, Tim.
I screw up once, you screw up 3 times, and I'm the one that's a blooper reel?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, sometimes it takes us a couple times to make this show.
I never screw up. I did it once. Twice at the most.
4 or 5.
Whatever.
Good thing I know how to edit videos.
Thank God.
But on to the rest of the show here. Before we get started with everything we want to talk about today, I wanted to start the show a little bit different because I learned something new, which is rare, but I wanted to share it with you. I have a trivia question for you.
Okay.
The question is, rank these players in the order of most to least rushing yards. So most is first, least is last. And for the folks at home, feel free to play along.
Go ahead.
All right. I have Michael Vick, Bo Jackson, Devin Hester, and Jim Harbaugh. Of those 4 players, who has the most rushing yards?
Michael Vick has the most.
Michael Vick does have the most at 6,109. Still to this day, the most rushing yards of any quarterback.
Second, I'm going to go with Harbaugh.
I don't like that you knew that answer. I tried to make it tricky. Jim Harbaugh is correct at 2,787 rushing yards.
And here's where I'm going to run into a problem. Devin Hester, they tried to run, and he had a decent career.
He had a Hall of Fame career.
Bo Jackson only played part of the season and was hurt for part. He got hurt early.
Really 4 seasons. Devin Hester played a very long time.
For that, I'm going to say Hester was 3rd and Bo was 4th.
Bo Jackson is 3rd at 2,782 rushing yards. Jim Harbaugh had 5 more yards. Wow, bad math. 5 more yards than Bo Jackson.
Okay, so that being said,
how many rushing yards do you think Devin Hester had?
Now I'm going to go with my reality check. 700 yards?
You overanalyzed his rushing abilities to begin with.
Wow.
And you did it again. He has 116 career rushing yards.
You want to put him in the Hall of Fame?
Devin Hester is 100% a Hall of Fame.
He can't carry
quarterback, no, a Hall of Fame player.
He cannot carry Gale Sayers' socks.
He never said he can. That's not why he should be in the Hall of Fame, but hold on to that thought. We're going to get back to that later. We do have some big news here in Milwaukee.
Yes, we do. Surprising a lot of so-called experts in the field.
Surprising me, honestly, because there's no reason that this needed to happen.
You're one of those experts. Yeah, he didn't.
I wouldn't call me an expert in anything.
He didn't need to do this, but Giannis re-signed a 3-year, $186 million contract, player option in the 27-28 season.
Yeah, which I have to imagine he won't exercise. He'll exercise to go someplace.
Maybe, but his kids are going to be school age at that point. Yeah, make no mistake.
It's a business. You don't think Giannis' kids are going to be homeschooled?
Sure. They'll be in some private school, whether it's homeschooled or wherever. But make no mistake, Giannis, more than any other athlete that's ever played in Milwaukee, I think, is part of the community.
Giannis is Milwaukee. Giannis, he's trick-or-treating every single year to the point where other people in the neighborhood are telling people to get out because they're bothering Giannis.
Right.
He went and got 50 Chick-fil-A nuggets, not 49, not 51, 50 Chick-fil-A nuggets after the game. He is Milwaukee.
He is. And Wisconsin's unique in the fact that superstars can go to the store, they can walk down the street, and they're not going to be bothered. People will leave them alone.
People will say, hey, good game, or hey, Giannis, love you, or something like that. They do it in Green Bay all the time as well, but you're not at work. And if you get autographs with people when they're at work, and you leave them alone.
Correct. And I think any superstar has enjoyed that. I've told you the story many times. about when your grandfather worked part-time at a gas station back in the 50s, and Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews came in, and Johnny Logan came in to buy fishing licenses.
Yeah.
And he never got their autograph. He just sold it to them. And when I asked him about it later on, he made a very strong point of going, that's not what they were there for. And they went on with some expletives, as your grandfather would do.
He would.
Because he made it funny. But he's like, that's not what those people are there for.
Sentence enhancers.
Yes, they are.
As some would call.
They are.
It does surprise me. And Wisconsin's a sneaky great state, right? People, it's actually the number one state where people move here for work or whatever reason. They don't leave. And it's also the number one state for people that leave this state come back. Like us. We did the same thing. You love Wisconsin. There's a weird state pride here.
There is.
It is really weird. Like Texas has that kind of state pride. Wisconsin's got that same state pride. It's the same type of vibe. And anybody that's been to Texas and Wisconsin like I have, you'll know Texas and Wisconsin people kind of get along because we're very proud of our states.
Well, Wisconsin's a beautiful state.
It is. There's a lot to do here. It's gorgeous. You got Door County. You got up north, which is anywhere you go to get away. You got the Dells. You have Milwaukee, which is a cool city. Madison, which is a very cool city. You have Lake Geneva, which is the town Al Capone built. I mean, let's be honest. The mob did a very good job of building up Wisconsin. And for anybody that says that's not how Wisconsin was made, you are wrong.
Dillinger was in our hometown.
Yeah, they all the gangsters of Chicago, they came to Wisconsin to live their lives, and people were happy to have them here.
Oh, all day long.
The booze flowed freely in Wisconsin and still does to this day. But it is a really good state to be in. People love having superstars in their community, and they're not going to make a big deal out of it because they don't want you to leave.
And that's why Giannis, I think, extended. Plus the fact the Bucks did the right thing by going and getting Damian Lillard.
This has everything to do with Damian Lillard.
Of course it does.
Everything to do with Damian Lillard, showing that, hey, we're here to win a championship no matter what it takes. And they even kept Chris Middleton, which surprised me that they were able to do. This shows me more that Portland was ready to make a move and move on to the future and make sure he didn't end up in Miami than it says about the Bucks making this trade.
They were never going to be trading them to that town that started with an M.
No, that was very much a petty move of, you're not going to Miami, give us some other towns you'll go.
He's much better off in Milwaukee than Miami.
Could be. I don't know if I can say that. I mean, you're going to put him beside Jimmy Butler.
But
he's a pick and roll player, and you just got the greatest pick and roll teammate you could have.
Correct. So who do you pick in the East?
In the East? I mean, there's two teams. It is the Bucks and the Celtics. You know, my heart says the Bucks. It's like last week's Packer pick. My heart says the Wisconsin team, but reality might say something different. The Celtics scare me now. You know, when we talked about this trade with Giannis, and I said then, I've said ever since, the one team that scared me that Drew Holiday could go to was the Boston Celtics, and that's exactly where he ended up.
And don't think for a minute, I mean, Drew Holiday is a great defensive player.
Yeah, he's the greatest defensive guard maybe of all time.
There's argument on that, but he was outstanding, and he is definitely going to come to play anytime he plays the Bucks.
He is. And what were the Celtics missing? A guard that could bring the ball up the floor and who could defend the perimeter. And they just got that. That's the one piece they needed, and they just got that one piece.
And the Bucks were missing a guy who could light it up from the outside, and they have that piece now.
They do. So it's going to be good. I have to imagine those two teams are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do see the Bucks being the number 2 seed this year.
Really?
I don't see them winning the East. They have a new head coach.
They do.
They're going to be working in brand new players. And I think they're going to lose some close games early on in the season where the Celtics are really Drew Holiday's a plug-and-play piece.
Correct.
He fits into the puzzle where Damian Lillard and Giannis working together is now your team. And that is something new. And they're going to figure it out by playoff time, but they're going to lose some games during the regular season.
So who do you see in the West? Because I'm taking the Bucks in the East. I think they're going to be the number 1 seed, and I think they'll win.
That's fair. That's not a bad analysis. They're going to put up a lot of points. It's just a matter of what they can do on defense.
The Bucks were always missing somebody who could light it up from 3 without having to worry about it, and they never had it. Now,
if Giannis went down, you had nothing, and now that's not the case. I mean, you're not wrong on that. We'll see how pieces come together. The West is a little bit trickier because you don't have that dominant team. Like you have Denver, who is still a very, very, very good team and a very smartly built team.
I think Golden State's got a chance this
No
year.
way.
I think they do.
No way.
One more run.
Mm-mm.
I think they're going to step up.
No, I don't think Chris Paul fits well with that team. You're bringing in a point guard that brings the ball up when Stephen Curry has always been the person to bring the ball up.
But he can play the
Fine.
off guard and just light it up.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, you're asking a guy to play a Michael Jordan who's not. Who probably fits that role better than any player since Michael Jordan, honestly. But you're asking him to fit in that Michael Jordan role. Michael Jordan didn't bring the ball up
No.
either.
The Lakers?
No. Come on.
Not Dallas, certainly.
You know, Dallas is a good pick. The Kyrie Irving, Luka experiment failed, but if they can figure it out where Kyrie Irving is that player that can just bring up the ball and be the backup to Luka, like he was with LeBron James.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been that player before. Can he do it again? It all depends. Kyrie Irving is such an enigma because he's such a talented player for really not caring about the game of basketball.
It really doesn't. I mean,
and if you can get that to where he feels that again, I think Dallas could be that team. They have good pieces, but I'm gonna take Denver coming again. I just think they're a really smartly built team.
I think they are too. Just to be different, I'm going to go with Golden State because I do think they're going to be able to put a run together.
They'll put a run together. They'll be a 4 seed, and they'll be out in the second round.
We'll find out.
We will.
You go to the next part. I don't
care about the next part. This is what you wanted to talk about. I don't care about this game. My father has decided that the game of the season is Ohio State at Wisconsin.
I have the big letters LOL after that. I don't think, I mean, it's a huge game for the program.
Which program?
Wisconsin. If they could somehow pull the upset of all upsets, which I don't think they will do.
Listen, so let me put this into perspective here.
Just remember the year we went.
That's what I was going to do. We're on the same page here.
Okay.
So to put this in perspective here, the reason you always do this, and I could have had tickets to this game, by the way, but I love my children so much. My mother offered me tickets, but I can't go.
Excuse me?
It's Halloween. My kids come first. It's trick-or-treating.
Hello?
Yeah, you divorced her, you know?
I think it's a little bitter.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. She offered them to me, not you. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway,
wow.
I still love you, and that's what matters.
Go on.
So we went to a game. It was, what, 2010, 2009. It wasn't in 2010 because it was my first year dating the woman who is my now wife. So, yeah, it would have been 2010. We went to that game.
Ohio State was rated
number one. Terrell Pryor was the quarterback at that time. Mm-hmm. And the issue in this, Wisconsin was not a great team. They were building. They were getting there. It was Brett Bielema, one of his first squads, right before they brought in Russell Wilson. It was a trap game. Ohio State came in. They had Penn State the next week, I believe it was, and they were just trying to get out of there. The Badgers ran back the first kickoff, took control of the game. Terrell Pryor had his worst game at quarterback I have ever seen and proved to the entire world that he is not a star quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. It was the end of the Tressel era. All of the stuff about what's the running back's name? I can't remember, but all that stuff about him getting paid under the table started to come out. Maurice Claret, that is his name. So it was a weird game.
Okay. This is the same type of trap game is why I had it on.
It's not a trap game.
The end of the Ryan Day era. Odds are he's going pro. They've got a quarterback that just is still trying to come into his own. Wisconsin had a fluke win. I mean, they came back to beat Illinois.
Because the refs gave you the game.
It's not true. Not true.
It is true.
No, it's not true. They did not. They took one away from Iowa, but that's another story. I don't think Wisconsin's going to win this game. I really don't. I'd love to see it. Braylon Allen's going to have over 150 yards. Locke is going to have at least 200 yards passing. I don't see either of those things happening.
Well, Ohio State has Rutgers after this game. Like, their next game is Rutgers. This isn't a trap game. I mean, they're going to be fully focused. It's not like they have Michigan next week that they're looking forward to.
They just beat Penn State.
Ryan Day also knows what he's walking into in Camp Randall, which is loud. It is loud. The fans can be ready to go because this is the Badgers' season, right? If the
Correct.
Badgers can win this is the season. And Luke Fickell coming from Ohio State, this is a circled game. It is. But don't for a second think Ryan Day understands that he was chosen over Luke Fickell. Make no mistake, he understands what this game is. He understands Tressel being there where his father coached. And if he doesn't, shame on him. But he does understand what this game means to Wisconsin. He's coming in. The only thing that could hurt Wisconsin is that you have a quarterback in McCord for Ohio State that is not the level of quarterback we have been used to over the last decade.
However, Wisconsin's defense has not shown they could stop the run, has not shown they're really great pass defense, and I think that's where Ohio State wins.
Ohio State's a defensive-minded team, which is weird because at Ohio State, we haven't been a defensive team. Like, we've had a great defense, right? But our offense has always been better. We've had J.T. Barrett. We've had Dwayne Haskins. Then we went to Justin Fields. Then we went to C.J. Stroud. And now we have a kid in McCord who is not ready to be in this position. We should have Ewers, who's playing at Texas right now, because he was on our roster. But who's hurt? But I get why he should have never come anyways. That's why I don't like the NIL, but that's a story for a different day. But it's going to be interesting because our backup quarterback is hurt as well.
If Wisconsin keeps it within 10, take it as a win.
I think that this is going to be a game that's not even close. I don't. I mean, it's Big Ten football, so anything can happen.
I'm hoping for a repeat.
But I think this is where Ohio State needs to put the pedal on and show the country, listen, we don't fall for these games. I mean, Rutgers is more of a threat than Wisconsin is this year.
Well, we've said it on previous shows, and I've certainly said it to every Wisconsin fan who comes up and tells me they should be a 9-win team. If we win 6 and get bowl eligible, it's been a good year. It hasn't been a bad year if we only have 5 wins.
They're going to lose this weekend. The Badgers are. You're going to hear more chance to fire Luke Fickell from stupid fans.
Very stupid fans. If I hear that,
I learned something the other day, and I want to share this because I think it shows what Badger fans need to see. So I have a kid that I go to the gym with. He's a really nice kid. We talk all the time. Oh. But he has a brother who plays for Arrowhead, who is 6'8", about 275 as a senior in high school. I mean, the kid is a mammoth, has 12 D1 offers, is now going to Wisconsin.
Thank God.
But when Paul Chryst was there, they didn't even offer him a scholarship, didn't even have him out for an invite to the facility. They wanted nothing to do with him.
Which is why I loved Luke Fickell's first press conference when he said, we will own every talented player within a 300-mile radius.
Right.
This is within 60 miles, for God's sakes.
It is. And I mean, but that shows you what you had before. You have Paul Chryst, who has a 6'8", 275-pound senior, and he's not even having him for a visit. A kid who has 12 Division I offers, and your own home state is not offering him a scholarship. How many other kids has Paul Chryst done that to, which is the reason you're in the situation you are now, that you don't have any talent?
Well, we knew that happened to at least one player that went to Ohio State.
Yes.
He decommitted from Wisconsin when Chryst was here.
Correct.
And went to play for
the Ohio State University. He's there right now. It's just what you have to deal with, Wisconsin fans. But back to this game, like, we have this on here, and it's fun to talk about for me because I cheer for a national championship program.
I dropped you on your head when you were a baby.
Yeah, that's teaching me to cheer for winners is definitely something wrong with me. I understand completely.
We're moving on to a team that neither one of us likes really, but is embroiled in one of the biggest scandals the Big Ten and the country has seen in a long time. The cheating scandal at Michigan.
I love this.
Of course you do.
I love that this is happening to Michigan.
I'm going to guarantee that Harbaugh is gone because he obviously condoned it or knew about it.
Of course he did.
Yeah, an assistant coach that traveled to however many other games.
11 games over the last 3 years. There's tons of paper trail to it. He was filming the assistant coaches doing the signs on the sideline, and they were analyzing. They did what the Patriots did. This isn't anything. What I do love about this thing.
By the way, the Michigan coach is Connor Stallions.
It wasn't even a coach. It was a assistant, a student assistant. But I absolutely think that this whole blow up is ridiculous. This is what the Patriots did.
Yeah.
This is the Patriots story. This is what the Patriots have been caught, and Bill Belichick have been caught doing several times. This isn't anything. The bigger conversation is, why in the world are they still using signs in college football and don't have microphones in the helmet?
Well, and that's the real key. I mean, you want to stop cheating? Put the electronics in the helmets. It's perfectly safe to do at this point.
You know me with the Astro things too. I still think that this is wrong, right? Because you're using film to get this. If this kid went to, but at the same time, like, I have no issues if they go there and watch the signs with binoculars and write stuff down and catch the signs.
I don't either.
And figure them out. Like, I have no issues with that. I don't. It's part of the game. You should be switching up your signs. Those signs that they have with people's faces and stuff, I don't understand that. I don't get it. I know that, but why do you not have microphones in the quarterback's helmets and in the middle linebackers' helmets? Because you do that, the problem. This isn't a problem in the NFL because they have it in the helmets.
Look, I was catcher. People tried to steal our signs all the time. It's part of the game. What the Astros did with
a drum and stuff, that's a joke.
That's ridiculous, and they deserve to be busted for that.
Right. And using a camera to zoom in, that's cheating.
That's cheating. But, if you can pick off a sign from second base, more power to you.
That's part of the game.
Part of the
if
game.
you're tipping your pitches because you're doing the grip while you're getting the sign, that's on you. That's part of the game. You got to be better.
In this case, as you said, if they're writing down what they're doing and they can pick it up, I have no problem with it.
Watching film anyways. It's just part of the film. I get why it's considered cheating. This is not a big story.
But it's going to cost Michigan wins.
It is. And I love that. It's going to cost them the 2 wins against Ohio State. They no longer count in history.
Probably.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Here's my
question. The streak
question.
of Ohio State wins continues.
Here's the question I have, though. Considering this is coming out, it's mid-season, early mid-season, is Michigan going to be allowed to go forth and play in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you're not going to do anything this year.
The penalties will come next year.
I just don't think this is a big thing. I didn't think it was a big thing when the Patriots did it, them getting a draft pick taken away. Everybody else was doing it the week before. They put in the rules. The Patriots kept doing it. And they got their draft pick taken away. It is what it is.
They should be busted. The Patriots cheated. All this talk about Belichick being the greatest coach of all time is not true because he had to cheat to win, just like Harbaugh.
Well, he also isn't winning after Tom Brady, which Vince Lombardi went to Washington and turned a program around before he died. So that ends that conversation, rightfully so. But when it comes to this scandal, I get why people are upset. Trust me, as an Ohio State fan, I love seeing Michigan and all their success being torn down. It makes me very, very happy because Michigan sucks. But this is being overblown. This isn't a huge thing. What needs to be done from this, and I don't know why, because in the NFL, what is it? It's like you have in the headset, and then with 10 seconds left on the play clock, it goes blank, right? Something like that. It's 15 seconds, whatever, and then all of a sudden you can't hear him anymore. But where this does become a big deal to me and becomes personal to me is Ohio State is a big program where they don't call a play in the huddle. They get to the line, and then from the sideline, then they call the play and do the adjustments from there after seeing the defensive formation. So if you have those signs, you're now able to adjust your team because you know the play that's being called. And so it bothers me, but I think the bigger solution for this in college football is just bring in the microphones, have them make the call on the headset so the quarterback can hear it, and then you don't have a problem anymore.
What's going to happen is this is going to bring down Harbaugh, force him to the NFL. Michigan loses on every level with that happening.
Which is awesome.
Because, once again, coach is going to run away and not be
this
penalized.
Has been falling apart since the offseason. They've been targeting Harbaugh since the beginning. Why is that such a hard name for me to say? Harbaugh.
Because of the sweatshirt you wear.
Probably. It hurts my brain.
Can we talk about another really bad program?
Yeah.
We're going to switch gears from college football to a really bad organization.
Chicago.
Our own beloved Green Bay Packers.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Welcome.
I'm not used to this.
I grew up with this.
This isn't fun for me. Here's the thing, though. This isn't Jordan Love's fault.
What you said on your opening is so Wrong.
This isn't Jordan Love's fault. Jordan Love still has a Hall of Fame quarterback mentality.
He does not. He does not have Hall of Fame skills.
Yes, he does.
He does not. He has never been able. Going back to college, he cannot make the deep throw.
Does Kurt Warner have Hall of Fame skills?
We aren't comparing or contrasting.
Just saying, if he has Hall of Fame skills.
We're not going into that. Jordan Love should be dropping back 2-step, 3-step drop and throwing the ball.
Why is that Jordan Love's fault?
That's not. But Jordan Love is not an accurate passer down the field.
Yet, no.
No,
He's a pretty deep ball.
I don't think he's going to be because he bounces on his toes, which Rodgers did forever.
Okay. I've heard this a couple of times, right? Yes. Does he bounce on his toes? Yes, he does. But that's what Aaron Rodgers has done his whole career. Sure. He's sitting behind. The issue is you have Brett Favre, right? And he was teaching Aaron Rodgers just by watching, right?
Top 10 quarterback of all time.
Yes. Favre and Rodgers had very similar skill sets. They were very similar quarterbacks in the fact that they had cannons for arms.
Oh, that way.
In that way, they had very good arms and didn't have to rely on planting their feet to throw a ball down the field. Most quarterbacks don't have that. And so Favre learned to jump so he didn't twist his ankles. Rodgers could take that in that because he also has that arm talent that Favre had. Jordan Love doesn't necessarily have that same arm talent that those two have.
Doesn't necessarily, does not.
But that's coaching. If you know that your quarterback is a different skill set and yet you're telling him to learn from Aaron Rodgers and it's not working, that is your fault as a coach. Yes. This isn't Jordan Love's fault. Also, you set it up, and this is what drives me nuts, and I know I'm going on a soapbox here, but this is where I'm sick and tired of this whole Packer regime. You set up a team with young players, and if your first-round draft pick quarterback is going to play and start for you, you give him no veteran receivers. Do you know Romeo Doubs not coming back to the ball for a pass interference towards the end of a game is a joke? You have him dropping passes. You have Christian Watson, who's supposed to be Randy Moss style. You're not getting him the ball, number one, designing plays for him. And you're also, he's not ready to take that step. He's not Randy Moss. Randy Moss was ready to go from the word go. Randy Moss also had who next to him?
Chris Carter.
A Hall of Fame wide receiver that taught him how to be a professional. You have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jalen Reed, and nobody else. You don't even have a fifth receiver that has been in the league longer than 2 years. Nobody is there to teach them to be good. They are missing on simple things. Jordan Love is making the same throws that Rodgers made and made him a Hall of Famer. The difference is when Aaron Rodgers started, he had somebody like Greg Jennings to help with Jordy Nelson, to help with Randall Cobb, who then helped with Devontae Adams to teach them be pros. Nobody's taught these kids. These kids were never the third receiver on a team, learning as they went and earning the ball. You're having to force them to get the ball. You've built this team wrong, and you're screwing over a quarterback who should not look this bad.
I'll take it to another step. Mark Murphy hired Matt LaFleur without any input from Gutekunst.
Gutekunst wasn't hired yet.
Hold on. Work with me. Without any input, Mark Murphy hired the coach. Gutekunst comes in. He's got a quarterback he didn't draft. Yep. In a panic pick, he drafted Jordan Love. It was a stretch of all stretches.
Right. The rumor is that it was supposed to be Ayuk.
He made the pick. So now he's got to go to bed with him and try to get him to do something. There's hold on. I'm not done yet. That's two silos. Then you've got LaFleur's silo. He's got to coach these guys that he didn't necessarily want, and he wasn't even in the conversation on the draft picks because he never would have picked Jordan Love. He still wanted Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers to be on that team. Gutekunst screwed him over big time because Adams for sure should still be a Packer to teach. At the one thing that Ted Thompson and Ron Wolf before him always did, you had a veteran, as you said, to teach the next generation. You never just had rookies taking off. These guys don't know how to come back to the ball because they have nobody to say, hey,
what I just said.
This. I understand that. But the Packers are a three-headed, dysfunctional monster that's got to be fixed.
Your only veteran is Aaron Jones. Like, your only true veteran is Aaron Jones, who's a running back.
And they're just targeting him. And Jordan Love does not throw a good deep ball. His maximum pass should be 10 to 15 yards on a post or whatever.
Thing, though, we can say he does. That should be the answer, correct? But we say he doesn't throw a good deep ball.
He doesn't.
But he's being forced to throw these deep balls at the most inopportune time.
He is a 4-year NFL veteran. I know this is his first year playing, but in 4 years, you better have learned to throw a deep ball.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I
do understand he doesn't have the deep ball right now. He doesn't. It's something he needs to work on in the offseason. But if you know, again, this comes down to coaching, and it comes down to the GM not drafting, he drafted well, right? There's talent on this team, but not designing a team for success. Because LaFleur has no input on the roster. That's very, very clear. But LaFleur is not drawing up plays to make him successful. There's no in slants. There's no in post. There's no button hooks. When have you ever seen somebody just go down and turn around? Well, it hasn't happened this year.
And what's even worse is the fact that LaFleur is running trick plays early in the game.
Right.
I remember Barry Alvarez back in the day saying, if teams are running trick plays against me early in the game, I own them.
And he's running trick plays early in the game against the Broncos.
Correct. Which shows you everything you need to know. It's time for him to. And Joe Barry has talent on that defense that should be winning games for Green Bay, and it's just not.
It's just bad. It's bad. It's not the player's fault in this situation. This is not Jordan Love's fault. Jordan Love still could have a Hall of Fame career. If you bring in Eric Bieniemy, he can do really good. He's looked really good. He has the mind for this. I believe that to my heart and soul. But we're treating him the way the Bears treat their quarterbacks. That's the reality of the situation. We are treating them in the way the Bears treat their quarterbacks. And we are destroying a young kid who, yes, should be ready at this point. And he is. He's made some really good throws. He made some good throws against the Broncos on Sunday that ended up being bad plays because of the fact that the receivers don't know what the hell they're doing.
I know it was preseason. I know it was late in games. Sean Clifford had more control of the field and as a field general than I've seen Jordan Love do to this point. I'm not saying put in Sean Clifford. I'm not. You got to ride Jordan Love for at least the rest of the season. But something I don't see him coming back next year as a starting quarterback for the Packers. Don't.
I do. I don't see LaFleur coming back, and hopefully not Gutekunst coming back. I want them to fire LaFleur and bring in.
But here's the problem:
Bieniemy and a different defense coordinator.
Here's the problem in Green Bay. Mark Murphy is here through the summer of 2025. Until the new president is hired, I think we're going to see some bad football.
I don't know. If I'm Mike Murphy, I am not allowing my legacy to be this because this is his doing too. This is Mark Murphy's doing too. And if this is the end of my legacy, I'm leaving it in a better place than I got it, which means you need to leave it in very capable hands. Mark Murphy inherited a Super Bowl team. At least a Super Bowl team that was being built. Bob Harlan saw that he made mistakes by bringing in Mike Sherman, and he fixed it before he left. And Mark Murphy now needs to do the same. He made the same mistake Bob Harlan did before he left, and he now needs to fix it before he goes. And next year is his last chance to fix it.
I honestly think what Murphy did was even worse because he had the arrogance of a former player thinking he knew better than his coaches and his personnel department on the inside.
Yeah.
You never hire a coach on the first interview without letting other people talk to them.
Northwestern arrogance.
It's bad. It's bad. Speaking of bad, you were bad last week.
Yep.
You were 2-3.
Yep.
Dad was 3-2. Not great, but
I mean, we're really bad at this. Like, I don't even know why we do this. We're really bad at this.
Wait a minute. The fact that the Lions were a disaster should almost be thrown out. That was
so both of us got the Jags over the Saints. Both of us picked the Lions, who got their butts kicked by the Ravens. Both of us picked the Eagles, which was a win. I picked the Chargers. You picked the Chiefs, which was the big difference between us. And we both picked the Packers, but we also knew that was a dumb pick.
Correct. I think we both thought Denver was going to win that game.
Yep.
Okay.
Are we going to do the next picks now?
You want to do that, or you want to do the greatest players not in the Hall of Fame?
Let's do our picks real quick, and then we'll go, and I'll school you some more.
Considering that We're so bad at this, we can fly right through them.
We can.
Here's the first game. Jets, again, in their home stadium.
Technically at Giants.
Playing at the Giants.
So the Jets got this one. You have a Zach Wilson who has looked better and better every single week. That defense is ready and fired up for, you want to talk about culture. I mean, it is a good culture there. They are around Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson is taking it in stride to the best of his abilities. That defense is going to win them this game. The Giants are a bad team.
Rodgers is going to be in the house. Yep. I think they're better. I think the Giants are better off with their current quarterback than they were with Jones. So, but I'm going to take the Jets as well.
All right, next game, Rams at Cowboys. This could get interesting.
This is an interesting game. Rams have been better than people expected this year.
They lost a close one last week.
They did. The Cowboys have had some inexplicable losses. This is in Dallas.
Yep.
I think McCarthy wins at home in a close game.
Here's my issue: is Dak Prescott.
Always the issue.
He is not a good quarterback in this league. His rookie year was clearly a fluke. Maybe it was the injuries that got to him. Maybe who knows what it was. But Dak Prescott is not a good quarterback. And if he's going to throw interceptions like that again this week, then you are going to see a Rams victory. Just to be different on this one, I think Dak Prescott's going to implode, and the Rams are going to pull it out.
I can see Stafford and Cup taking it. But
yeah.
I'm still taking Dallas. Next game up is probably one of the most interesting games of the week. Is Purdy not as good as everybody giving credit to? Bengals are traveling to San Francisco.
I mean, Purdy's looks fine. I mean, you lost your biggest weapon that your offense was built around. I mean, what do you expect a quarterback to do in that situation? I mean, it's hard. He's not, again, he's not Aaron Rodgers. We have to come back down to earth here and pretend he doesn't exist.
And he's not Joe Montana.
He's not Joe Montana either. He is not any of those. He's still a really good quarterback, but your biggest weapon has disappeared. The Bengals, what did I say? I expected them to start 0-6 and then to go on a run and make a challenge for the playoffs. This is where the Bengals make a statement. The Bengals win this game.
I agree.
Wow.
I think your boy Joe Burrow's gonna
football Jesus.
Stop it.
Walks on water. Even with the bad calf.
I think they go in and they make a statement win. And I think the 49ers are one of those teams that look good early, but they haven't really looked good the last couple of weeks. I think they lose this one.
They live and die with McCaffrey.
Yes.
All right, next one. This is an interesting one because you have a team that is coming up in the Bears who has won the last two games, the last one with a backup quarterback, and you have the Chargers that are starting to fade. Bears at Chargers, who you got?
So I think the Bears have looked better with their backup quarterback because there's not highs and lows. It's just a guy just playing a steady game.
But they looked really good the week before with Justin Fields.
They did. But again, Fields goes up, he goes down. He goes up, he goes down. It's almost like being on a sea voyage. The Chargers are a classic example of a team that should be good, but the coach just is not on the same page with it.
Want to talk about ups and downs?
Yes.
Let's talk about Herbert. Herbert looks like a Hall of Fame quarterback in one spot and then throws 3 interceptions in the next.
And again, I put a lot of that on the relationship with the coach. I think the Chargers win at home on this game, but I would not be surprised to see the Bears, if they play like they did last week, mounting the upset.
It's Chargers all day. This game's not even be close. The fact that this game is even on this list is a joke.
There weren't a lot of games. It really wasn't. This one was interesting.
The Chargers are going to win this. The Bears are the Bears, and the Chargers are going to show up against a bad Bears team.
Okay. Final game. Vikings come off a win against San Francisco, and they go into Lambeau Field. Do we even need to talk about this?
Because the Vikings are going to win this game.
I'm taking the Vikings on this one all day long.
The Vikings are going to win this game. Kirk Cousins, I predicted to be the MVP this year, and he is having an MVP-like season. Even without Justin Fields, Addison has really stepped up for that Vikings team.
They could go in without an offensive line and win this game.
Probably. The Packers are a bad team. I think we have to accept that at this point. This season is just going to be hard to watch. I will watch this game. I will cheer for the Packers. But let's just say I'm happy and I'm an Ohio State fan this weekend because at least I'll get one victory.
Yeah, not me. Okay. Greatest players not in the Hall of Fame.
Hold on, before we go on to the Hall of Fame, those are our picks. You let us know what you think in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. That was not the notification bell sound. That was the dog shaking his collar. But it was good timing.
It was.
Go, puppy dog.
So let's talk about the non-controversial ones first.
Okay, so this is the greatest NFL players not in the Hall of Fame.
2 of them are quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Earl Morrall, former National League Football League MVP, won 3 Super Bowls. Granted, he was a backup for the Dolphins. He should have started that game.
But he won all the games for that season. The only game he didn't start was a Super Bowl.
He won 9 games that year. Yeah. So, and he was also the starting quarterback in Super Bowl III when he was with the Colts against the Jets. We all know what happened in that
Worst game of his career.
Worst game. But you take all of that away, this guy, he also, by the way, I think he won the MVP or something in the 50s. He's a very good quarterback.
Earl
He
Morrall
should be in the Hall of Fame. He might have been the greatest player not to be in the Hall of Fame, even more so than Jerry Kramer.
You took it out of my mouth. Jerry Kramer had a Packers support group that was going for him. The issue with Earl Morrall is that he played for 2 organizations. He really split his career. He was with the Colts, and the Colts had Johnny Unitas, and then the Dolphins had Bob Greasy as their quarterback. And so they have their 2 quarterbacks of that generation. Yes, Earl Morrall came in and won a lot of games for both of those teams, but if you look at that, he wasn't either of their generation's quarterback for those fans.
Right.
He was just kind of in the shadows being a great player. But yes, Earl Morrall should be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he played for 5 franchises.
He might have, but those are the teams that he's really known for, and those are the teams at that point that the fans you think would rally around him. But again, they had their quarterbacks of that generation. Earl Morrall should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have been in the Hall of Fame long ago. You're not going to find a disagreement with me on that one.
I don't think I'll find a disagreement on this one either, because if it weren't for 2 plays, he would have been in a National Football League champion and in the first Super Bowl, and that's Don Meredith.
Who?
Dandy Don Meredith.
Who?
Really?
Why would Dan Meredith be there? Don Meredith be in the Hall of Fame.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
He was an announcer.
Not only as an announcer.
He was a great announcer. He was the other voice of Monday Night Football. He should definitely be in the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster.
He should also be in the Hall of Fame as a quarterback.
Why?
His stats are incredibly good. Don Meredith is a guy who got beat on 2 last-second plays, back-to-back years.
One was an interception that he threw to a defensive lineman.
True. And the other one was...
It was the ice ball.
It's the ice ball. However, he was the quarterback. Talk about a quarterback of a team. He was the Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
He quit on.
And he quit after he stopped playing.
He quit on his team.
After the ice bowl. He should have won Super Bowl, not 5, but one of the 5. Super Bowls. Even Roger Staubach came out and said, "This is Don Meredith's team."
Yeah, that he quit on.
His numbers are great. Don Meredith is, by every measure, a Hall of Famer. Cooper thinks so too.
Is a dog by you?
Yes. But Don Meredith,
he's not. He lost 2 of the biggest games of his career. And then if he would have kept playing, he probably would have won Super Bowl 5. And then, yes, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
No,
as a broadcaster, he should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. He's the voice of Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell. He should definitely be in the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. As a player, why would you put somebody in the Hall of Fame that quit on their team?
3-time Pro Bowler.
Okay.
Burt Bell Award, Dallas Cowboy, Ring of Honor. He's an All-American. That's different, but absolutely he should be in.
So a 3-time Pro Bowler should be in the Hall of Fame?
Don Meredith.
I mean, Kurt Warner's our benchmark, so from that point of view, yes, Don Meredith should be in the Hall of Fame.
I knew you were going to do that. Don Meredith, in my mind.
I'm not trying to be funny with this. Every time you think I'm trying to be funny, but that is your benchmark as a first ballot Hall of Famer. If that's your benchmark, then yeah, Don Meredith basically had the same career. The NFL championships were the championships at that point.
Well, they were. And Green Bay won 3 in a row. Tom Landry was their coach. He was the quarterback of the Cowboys in the entire 1960s.
Great.
But he had the numbers to back him up. He should be on the Hall of Fame.
And then he quit on his team.
As a quarterback. He did not. He retired. He had been in the league for
If Roger
9
Staubach
years.
says that this should have been Don Meredith's Super Bowl, that means that Don Meredith still had something left in the tank and decided he didn't want to play anymore.
I don't agree with you.
He lost the 2 biggest games of his career, one of them which was his fault.
He was being, well, in all honesty,
He was being chased. It was a
being
great
chased.
defense, right?
Yeah.
But quarterback's in your hands. If you're quarterback, you want the ball.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't, as a broadcaster, for sure.
Oh.
I don't agree with you that Don Meredith is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think he should be. And the same reason I don't think Kurt Warner's a Hall of Fame quarterback. This is I hate the conversation you have about small rooms, because the Hall of Fame should be that small room.
Don Meredith.
You shouldn't have the Hall of Fame and then have a small room for the best players. You should just have that small room be the best players.
Okay.
It should be harder to get into the Hall of Fame than it was for Kurt Warner to be in the Hall of Fame.
You can say that all you want.
Your benchmark's there.
I live in reality world.
I agree with you from the standpoint that if Kurt Warner is a first ballot Hall of Famer, then Don Meredith should be in the Hall of Fame. I agree with you on that. However, if we're talking about a true Hall of Fame, Don Meredith, as a quarterback to be in the Hall of Fame, has to win championships. Don Meredith won no championships. The Packers were in his way. The Packers were always better. The Packers...
Okay, then Dan Marino should not be in the Hall of Fame.
Dan Marino was the best player at his position for a decade. That is a different conversation.
Dan
Marino also was in a Super Bowl. He did win an AFC championship.
Don Meredith, you look at his numbers, and I invite everybody to do it.
I'm not saying he wasn't a great
quarterback.
And I agree with you from the standpoint that if, and I'm not being funny, you have to have a benchmark. And Kurt Warner is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So from that standpoint, yes.
Because
I can't
Don Meredith
argue.
was a starter for years.
Yes. So from that standpoint, I 100% agree with you. He should be in the Hall of Fame because you set your benchmark for your Hall of Fame so low. But from the standpoint, he was not the greatest at his position at his time. He was arguably the third best, arguably, because you had Johnny Unitas and Bart Starr during that time, who were both much better than Don Meredith.
Okay, Bart Starr was absolutely much better. Johnny Unitas was the quarterback of the 50s. He was hanging on through the 60s. But
he was still better than Don Meredith.
I hate the argument people have saying, well, Johnny Unitas was better than Bart Starr. Actually, no, he wasn't.
He wasn't. They had 8-8 record against each other, and the issue is Bart Starr played in Green Bay, and Johnny Unitas played in Baltimore with a much larger
he played with
media.
Don Shula.
I understand. It's much larger media focus out there. It's why all the Yankees are remembered and none of the other teams. But if we go back to it, can you tell me he was the best player at his position for a long period of time?
He was among the best players at his position.
I didn't ask you that.
I can't say he was the best because Bart Starr was the best.
Can you say he was a top 5 player at his position?
Yes.
Can you say he was top 3?
Yes.
Okay.
He was the top. He was absolutely, I would say he was the second best quarterback in the 1960s. And Earl Morrall was there too, which we already said should be in the Hall of Fame. Don Meredith, other than Bart Starr, Don Meredith is the greatest quarterback of the 60s.
And yet, he's
not.
Always lost the big games. 2 plays away. 2 plays away, nobody hears of Brett Favre. Everybody talks about Don Meredith. Or not Brett Favre, Bart Starr. Bart Starr's not remembered the way that he is.
2 plays,
it's a different story.
2 plays, it's a Landry trophy, not the Lombardi trophy.
In another universe, this is a different conversation. But in this universe, Don Meredith, I don't agree with you, is a broadcaster, yes.
The final one, I know we disagree on. I know for a fact. I don't even know why it's conversation, but you made me put it on here. Devin Hester?
Hall of Famer. Should have been first ballot Hall of Famer.
You're on some foreign substance.
He's the greatest returner of all time.
He was not even the greatest returner of his franchise. Gale Sayers was a better returner than Devin Hester.
Really? How many touchdowns did Gale Sayers have run back versus Devin Hester? Because Devin Hester had the most of all time at 19. Gale Sayers had 8 or 9. Gale Sayers returned.
Don't forget, they played many less games back during that era. Gale Sayers was also the best running back in the entire NFL.
Devin Hester wasn't a running back.
Not at all.
No, and he was a returner. He was a specialist.
Sayers had 5 in one game.
Only player to run back a kick return for a touchdown in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's not true. Desmond Howard did.
Oh yeah, he did. Sorry, opening play. The only player to run the opening play back. Sorry, fine. Obviously Desmond Howard ran back too. I'm stupid on that one.
Yeah,
but I meant
you're stupid on Hester too because Gale Sayers, best running back,
What is the Hall of Fame for?
the greatest of the great.
Correct. And you have the greatest of the great returners of all time, so he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
No, he was you got to be a more complete player, with the exception of the kickers. The Ray Guys, the Jan Stenerud's.
Let me ask you this. Is the greatest punter of all time in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Okay. Why wouldn't you have the greatest returner of all time in the Hall of Fame?
He is. Gale Sayers is in the Hall of Fame.
Gale Sayers is not the greatest returner of all time. Devin Hester is.
Absolutely.
Devin Hester holds the record for most returns of all time.
Because Gale Sayers lost a couple years because of a knee injury. No.
Okay, why do injuries change the story?
Well, because Gale Sayers came back and was still great. Plus he played many less games every season. Gale Sayers, I'll even use Gale Sayers' words, because he did play other position as well as running it back. Gale Sayers had 5 runbacks for a touchdown in one game. One game.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. This is kick returns. That's not what I wanted. Never mind. That's not what I wanted. Anyway, I should have looked up stats. I didn't know we were going to put Devin Hester. But Devin Hester is 100% a Hall of Famer. The Hall of Fame is meant for the best players at every position. Punters are not Hall of Famers. They're not. Ray Guy never did anything to make him worthy of going into the Hall of Fame versus other players.
No, wait a minute. Ray Guy did because
Of course he did.
He changed the game.
100%. 100%. Devin Hester was the end of an era. You're never going to see somebody like that again. He was the most exciting player to watch on the field. Do you believe Bo Jackson should be in the Hall of Fame?
No.
I don't either.
I mean, I can make an argument, but that's on projection of what he's been.
Correct. Bo Jackson is ranked as the 8th greatest running back of all time, which I don't agree with. He's not.
He didn't play long. I mean,
Devin Hester had a full career, and over his entire career was the greatest. He was a weapon. He was a true weapon.
Sure. So
you had to cover for him. So was Deion Sanders in a different way. Devin Hester is the greatest kick returner of all time.
No, he's not.
And he should be in the Hall of Fame as the greatest kick returner of all time.
Not even the greatest of his franchise. Gale Sayers was a better returner than Devin Hester was.
Devin Hester should be in the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest, if not, the greatest kick returner and punt returner of all time. Period. End of story. He should be a Hall of Famer.
So says Kyle from on high. This must happen. No.
Kurt Warner's in the Hall of Fame. Devin Hester should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, my God. You have got to stop saying that about poor Kurt Warner.
Listen, Kurt Warner's great. He has a great story. I just don't.
Yeah, he's a great.
I don't know how people can disagree on this. I really don't. He has the same numbers as Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And yet they do.
People love stories. People definitely fall for movies. They definitely love medias. They definitely love Rudy. If you watch the movie Rudy, you think he should be in the Hall of Fame too. However, if you look at reality, it wasn't that big of a deal. Same with Kurt Warner. He had 2 good seasons and then he really had 3 good seasons. He had 1 great season with the Rams, a good season with the Rams, where they lost to the Patriots, and then a good season with the Arizona Cardinals, where in all 3 he had top-tier Hall of Famers running his team.
Well, on top of that, he was a backup for...
So I'm saying, 3 good years. He's in the Hall of Fame for 3 good years.
Anyways, not what we're talking about. Devin Hester, I want to hear what people watching the show think.
You let us know why I'm right in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. As you all know, it is that time where you cannot have the last word in a conversation with your father. It is, in fact, your father that gets the last word, so it is all you.
This has been one of the most enjoyable baseball playoffs seasons that I can remember, because the games are quick. The pitch clock has been outstanding. I saw a guy beat the shift by doing what he should do, and that was hitting to the opposite direction, being a better hitter. It's been so much fun to watch. Texas got in, and we're waiting tonight to see whether it's going to be Philadelphia or Arizona. I will say this, and you're going to roll your eyes. Do you know the Milwaukee Brewers have a distinction? Every team they've lost to when they've been in the playoffs has made it and won the World Series. It's like 8 teams. I'm hoping it ends tonight because I want Philadelphia to win, but that's just that weird stat that people in Wisconsin glom onto.
They're the boyfriend before the groom.
Pretty much. If you haven't watched the baseball playoffs so far, you need to tune in tonight. This is going to be a great game between Philadelphia and Arizona. Should be a great World Series. They've got to get rid of the, you say balk, I say balk rule.
That's not how this works. You say bulk, I say balk. Correct?
I say balk.
Right.
Balk.
See?
Balk.
Thank you. Continue.
Anyways, watch this. This should be one of the best World Series we've seen in a long, long time. And whether it's Arizona or Philadelphia, I'm still hoping Philly's in it. But it's been fun to watch. I love the rule changes. And it's just been outstanding. This has been a good year for baseball. They still need to adopt the Carney plan. I've said it before. I said it again. We'll talk about that at a later time. Baseball's back. Still the greatest sport ever invented. Watch the games tonight, folks.
Very passionate speech. That was very well done. Thank you, as always, so much for watching. As always, this has been Sports Talk with Dad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.